Hey guys, I'm Alphonse. Welcome to the 21st episode of Anybody Can Code C programming series. If you'd like to take a look at the previous episodes, please use the link in the description. In today's episode, we'll be looking at string basics and string functions in C programming. Before we start learning about strings, let's learn about character array. A character array is a sequence of characters just as an integer array is a sequence of numbers. The values inside the character array are enclosed within single quotes and are separated by commas. Let's look at a program to understand the working of a character array. Just as we declare an integer array, let's go and declare our character array. So the syntax for that is the data type here is char followed by the array name, which I'm keeping it as A, followed by the size of the array. So if I end it with a semicolon, this is how I would be declaring a character array. But I'm also interested in initializing it with a value. So just as we saw, a character array has values inside it that are enclosed within single quotes and separated by commas. So let me give 5 values. So here a character array called A has 5 values A, E, I, O, U, and let's print those values now. Using for loop, I'll be printing those values. So if it is an integer array, we would be using the format specifier %d, but here we will be using the format specifier %c. So let's go ahead and run our program. You can see that the values are getting displayed. So now let's declare a character array and assign values to it later. So I'm creating a character array called B and I'm assigning values to it after I have declared it. So just as we printed the character array A, let's go ahead and print a character array B. So let's go ahead and run this program. You can see that the values that are in both the character arrays A and B are getting printed. So this is how you initialize a character array and declare a character array and assign values to it later. Next, let's look at strings. Strings is defined as an array of characters. The difference between a character array and a string is that a string is terminated with a null character. The null character is also called as the string terminator. Now let's look at a program to understand the working of a string. So in the previous program we had defined a character array. So in order to make a character array into a string, we need to include the character array with the value null character. So let's go ahead and do that. Since the character array A has a size of 5, I'm increasing the size to 6. And now in order to make the character array B as a string, I'm including the value null character here. So I'm interested in printing the values that are in the string, so I'll not be needing the for loop anymore. So in order to print the string, we need to use a format specifier which is %s, and we can just include the name of the string. So let's go ahead and run this program. You can see that the values are getting printed. So this is how you convert a character array to a string by including the null character at the end of the character array. Now let's look at another program to better understand the working of string. So here, let's go ahead and create our strings. So calling the first string as string1, and while initializing the string, it is optional to give the size of the string. So here I'm not going to give the size of the string, I'm just going to initialize it with a value. And while initialize a string with a value, you need to initialize it within the double quotes. So here if you see that the size of string 2 I have given it as 6, but I have only included 5 characters in it. So automatically it takes the 6th character to be the null character. So let's go ahead and print the values. So let's go ahead and run this program. You can see that both the strings are being displayed. So this is how you initialize a string with the values, and it is optional to specify the size of the string if you're initializing it with a value. Now let's look at a function called gets function. So what is this gets function? Gets function is used to read a complete set of characters from the user. It does not stop reading the string when it encounters a white space. It treats the white space as a part of the string, and gets function is used only to receive a string input from the user. So let's see how to use a gets function in a program. So before we use a get function in our program, let's see if a scanf treats a white space as a part of the string, or it stops reading the input on the first encounter. I'm creating a string 3 of size 11, and I have a scanf statement to receive the input from the user. So let's go ahead and run this program. So I'm entering the string hello space world. So you can, okay, so let's try printing the third string as well. Let's run this program. So I'm giving the input as hello space world, and you can see that the scanf ignores the characters that is after the white space, and it only considers the characters that are till it encounters a white space. So now let's comment this statement and let's use the gets function to receive the input from the user. So I'm using gets, and under this I'm giving string 3. So now I'm interested in, so now we have defined the get statement. Let's go ahead and run this program. So let's go ahead and give the input hello world, and you can see that it is not terminating the string when it encounters the white space. It is also considering the white space to be a part of the string. As you can see that here it is giving us a warning that the get function is dangerous and should not be used. That is because it does not know when to stop reading from the user. As long as the user keeps entering, and only when the user finally hits enter, it will stop reading from the user. So it might lead to overflow errors. Now that we have used gets function and it is showing us a warning saying that it is dangerous and should not be used, can we modify the scanf statement in such a way that it accepts the white space as a part of the string? The answer is yes. You can modify the scanf statement to receive the input from the user. That is to also accept the white space as a part of the string. Let's see how it's done. So after the %, I'm opening a square bracket, and within that I'm giving a concatenation symbol. Here I'm informing the compiler to consider a white space as part of the string. So now let's go ahead and run this program. Giving it as hello world. So now you can see that the scanf statement is not terminating when it encounters the first white space. Rather, it also considers the white space as a part of the string. Next, let's look at string functions. We can use inbuilt string functions in C to perform certain operations on the string. In order to use the inbuilt string functions, we need to use the header file string.h. So let's look at a program to understand the working of some of the important inbuilt string functions in C. So in order to use the inbuilt string functions, we need to include the header file string.h. So let me go ahead and create two strings. So here I have created two strings, string 1 and string 2, with the values hello and world. So let's go ahead and use the string function with strlen to find the string length of these strings. So say I'm interested in finding the string length of string 1. So what I can do is I'll create a variable length to hold this value, string length of string 1. So I'm printing that value. The length of string 1 is len. Next, it's the concatenation of a string. So let's go ahead and concatenate a true strings. So for this we need to make use of the inbuilt function strcat. So string cat inside that we need to specify the two strings that are to be concatenated. So here I want to concatenate string 1 and string 2. So which is string 1 comma string 2. The concatenate. So both the strings will be concatenated and the concatenated string will be stored in string 1. Hence I've given the size of string 1 to be 11. So let's go ahead and run this program. So we can see that the length of string 1 is 5 and the concatenated string is hello world, and that is stored in the string 1. Next, let's look at how to copy one string into another. So for that we have an inbuilt function called strcpy. So same as string cat, we'll need to include two strings within it. So the copied string will be stored at, that is in string 2 will be copied over to string 1. So let's go ahead and print a string 1. So let's go ahead and run this program. So you can see that the string 2 value world is copied over to the string 1. Now say you want to compare two strings. For that you use string compare method. But if you want to compare n characters between two strings, we are going to make use of strncmp function here. So let's go ahead and do that. So here I'm going to create a third string which is going to hold the value worry. So I'm comparing it between string 2 and string 3. So if both the characters in both the strings are same, it will return a value of 0. And if string 2 is greater than string 3, it will return a value of 1. And if string 2 is less than string 3, it will return a value of -1. So if it is matching, then I'm printing the characters match. Else the characters don't match. So since this string compare method compares n characters between two strings, so we'll also have to give the number of characters that are to be compared. So here I'm only interested in comparing the first 3 characters. So I'm giving the value as 3 here. So let's go ahead and run this program. So here it tells us that the characters are matching because both have the same first 3 characters are same in both the strings, string 2 and string 3. So let me increase the characters. Let me say it is 4. And now let's run the program. And you can see it is displaying that the characters don't match. So these are some of the inbuilt functions that are available in C programming. With this, we come to the end of this episode. In the next episode, we'll be looking at some of the programs related to strings. So stay tuned.
Hey YouTube, how are you doing? Stay tuned to Facebook for more awesome videos. Don't forget to subscribe.